Hello everybody, Joan Lydia here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a safe place where we aim to learn, unlearn and relearn as we aim to become better versions of ourselves, as we share wisdom that we acquire from different places. Godly wisdom that we acquire from different places, and we share it on this platform with the aim that we'll become higher versions of ourselves, better versions of ourselves, wiser versions of ourselves, so that we can evolve to the people that God has aspired and requires us to be. So today I want to share with you a mind-blowing concept. A mind-blowing concept that comes from the book of Numbers, in the Bible, chapter 13. And this concept, I have termed it as the grasshopper mentality. So before I talk to you about the grasshopper mentality, I want to share with you some background information where this grasshopper mentality concept is coming from. And I will share with you the story that comes from that book of Numbers, chapter 13. And I'll paraphrase it a bit so that you don't get bored. Trust me, you won't get bored. So let's get into it. Sit back, relax, get yourself some drink, a beverage, and maybe some notebook where you can jot down a bit of some points that I'll share with you. And let's get into it. Moses was tasked with the job of leading the Israelites from the land of slavery, Egypt, into the land of milk and honey, Canaan, the land of plenty, Canaan. But they were not promised that this journey would be easy, because Canaan was already inhabited by other nations and other people. But God had promised them that for sure I will take you out from Egypt and take you into Canaan. The road is not going to be easy, because Canaan had every possible conflict that you could think of. But for sure, I would give you victory over these people, over these inhabitants, and you will conquer them, and you will get your promised land. So here they were at the verge of entering the promised land, and Moses decided to send 12 spies to go and scout the land. 12 men, each from the 12 tribes of Israel. So these men were supposed to go and scout the land and see if it's a good land or a bad land, if the cities that these people were living in were in camps or strongholds, if the men that were in this land are few or many or weak, strong, if you are planning to go up against a people and you want to take their territory, you need to have some information that you can prepare, because these people won't go down easily. By failing to prepare, you are planning to fail, even if God is backing you. So off they went, the 12 spies, and scouted the land for 40 days. And after 40 days, they came back to Moses, and they gave their report in front of Moses and the Israelite congregation. And I'll read it to you, the report that they gave. So they said, "Surely the land you sent us flows with milk and honey, and these are its fruits, holding a cluster of grapes. But the people who dwell there are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the sons of Anak, who come from a lineage of giants. All the people we saw in the land are men of great stature. We are not able to go against the people of Canaan, for they are stronger than we are. We in our own sight, and their sight were as grasshoppers." So out of the 12 spies that were sent to go scout this land, 10 of the 12 spies lamented how the people of this land were of great stature, how they felt as if they were grasshoppers. In their own sight, they felt as if they were grasshoppers, and in the sight of those people, they seemed as grasshoppers. Mind you, they gave this report in front of all the Israelites. Let me tell you the kind of lamentations that arose amongst the Israelite congregation. They wept, they cried, they grumbled, accusing Aaron and Moses of taking them out of Egypt and bringing them into the wilderness so that they would die in the wilderness. They even lamented against God, asking God, why did you bring us out from Egypt so that we could come and die by the sword in this wilderness? They were even willing to return back to Egypt. They were ready to choose their own captain so that they would go back to Egypt. Two spies out of the 12 spies were against what the 10 spies had said. Let me read to you what the two spies said. They said, "Let us go up at once and possess this land. We are well able to conquer it. The land is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord is indeed with us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us. Fear not." But no, the Israelites were like, we are going back to Egypt. They were so ready to go back to Egypt. They had forgotten what God had told them. God had told them that he would give them the victory. He would hand over that land to them, even with the inhabitants living in that land. He would give them victory over the inhabitants, and they would conquer them and get that land. Why would God take them out of Egypt just to come and have them die in the wilderness? Why? Like, seriously, why? So Moses reminded them what God had told them in Deuteronomy chapter 9, and I'll read it to you. He said, "You would cross River Jordan to dispossess nations greater and mightier than you. You will dispossess cities greater and fortified up to heaven. You will dispossess a people great and tall, the sons of Anakim, whom you know and whom you have heard it being said, who can stand before the sons of Anak?" So, yes, they had already been told that they would dispossess these inhabitants, yet they had this unbelief of feeling that they felt so small, belittling themselves to the extent of saying that they feel as grasshoppers in the sight of the sons of Anak. Here was God telling them, hey, I know that these people might seem taller, stronger, of greater stature than you, but I got you. I got you, and I'm going to give you this land, and you will conquer these inhabitants. When God tells you that I got you and I have your back, best believe it that he has your back. God is a very faithful God. He will never disappoint. We human beings on the other side are very unfaithful. Are very, very unfaithful. Even the Bible says, cursed is the person who puts their faith in man. But God never disappoints. So when he tells you that I have your back and I have promised this to you and I will give it to you, best rest on that word, knowing that he will deliver. Well, the Israelites were having none of that. They were more than willing to go back to Egypt, the land that they had spent more than 400 years in slavery and bondage. They were willing to go back to Egypt instead of facing the inhabitants of Canaan. By the way, this was the reason why the Israelites spent 40 years wandering around the wilderness for a journey that was supposed to take 11 days. Because of their unbelief and the kind of mindset that they had. And God was like, I'm not dealing with you with that kind of mindset that you have and the kind of unbelief you have. So you are going to wander in this wilderness for 40 years until this generation that lamented, that wept, that cried, that grumbled and complained against me because of their unbelief, until this generation fizzes out and dies. And I will take your children, your children's children, and the two spies who were ready to go up against these people because they had the faith, the mindset, and the belief that we would conquer this land. I am willing to go with your children. I'm willing to go with your grandchildren. And these two people who stood by me and say that we are going to conquer, but I will wait out until this whole generation dies and fizzes out for 40 good years. For 40 years. And you know, the Bible says that 1,000 years to God are like a day to him. So 40 years are nothing to him. So he is more than willing to wait out on them to die one by one till they all fizz out. Because he was unwilling to deal with the people who were filled with unbelief, with a grasshopper kind of a mindset, where God tells you, this is what I'm going to do to you or for you, but you are complaining and grumbling against God. You might ask, what is the grasshopper mentality, or what is the grasshopper mindset? Have you ever spoken of defeat before going after something or going against something? Like, I can't go after that position in that organization. I'm not worth it. Or I can't associate myself with this kind of people because they are of a higher league than me. That kind of mindset, do you know it? Or I can't go into such places because they are for people with more money than me. A mindset that always makes you belittle or look down upon yourself, always belittling yourself. That kind of mindset is called the grasshopper mentality. Always lamenting how you don't have enough or you don't have what it takes. That kind of mindset is called the grasshopper mentality or the grasshopper mindset. I'll share with you a particular story of a friend of mine. I know he won't mind me sharing this story because he will watch this. I know that for sure. So I had planned to visit a particular place that he had visited. I didn't know that he had visited before. So I was sharing with him how I would visit this place, how I wanted to visit it. And he told me that he had been to that place prior. And I was asking him, so can you give me reviews of this place? How did you find it? How was it? So he told me that this place is amazing. It's amazing. It's a place, yes, it's really, really amazing. But the kind of people that go there have high-end cars. High-end cars, these luxurious cars. I know there's some cars which you're told that they're not cars, but they're machines, those kind of cars. So he told me that the parking lot was filled up with such cars that when he parked, two other high-end cars came and parked, came and sandwiched him, that is. So he was in between two high-end cars that it intimidated him to the extent that he will never ever go back there. He will never ever go back there because of the kind of people who go to that place, because they're people who seem to have much money than him. And I was really amazed because I was like, at least you have a car. There are people who I'm pretty sure walk to that place. They go by maybe public means, or they walk by foot to that place. At least you have a car. Even if it might not be the same as the cars that you found there, but at least you have one. But he was like, no, I'm never going back there because of the kind of people that go to that place. They seem to be of a higher status, a higher level than me. Grasshopper mindset. And I understand sometimes we have aspirations of bigger and greater things for ourselves, but don't let that intimidate you to the extent of belittling and looking down upon yourself, such that you will dissociate yourself from things that you are worthy of. You will never reach the palace while talking like a peasant or having a peasant kind of mindset. That will never get you to the palace if you have such kind of mentality, or talking like if you can never have such a thing. Your conversations reveal the kind of mindset that you bear. Your conversations reveal if you are a grasshopper or a giant killer. A grasshopper mentality will measure on the problems, whereby a giant killer mentality will focus on the possibilities. A grasshopper mentality will dwell on the obstacles of getting or attaining something, whereby a giant killer mentality will focus on the opportunities. A grasshopper mentality will always play like the victim, whereby a giant killer mentality will act as the victor even before they attain the victory. So, based on your conversations, where do you think you fall? You need to know your worth, you need to know your value. God sees you as a valuable possession, very valuable. The Bible is a book of pictures. It shows you pictures of who God is, and it also shows you the photographs that God has of you. God says that you are the apple of his eyes. You are a crown of glory in his hand. You are a royal diadem. That's what God says about you. So, which of these three possibilities would you want to think of yourself? The way you think about yourself, the way people around you think about you, and the way God thinks about you. Which of these three possibilities would you take? 10 Spies said, in our opinion, we are as grasshoppers. In our sight and in the sight of the giants, we are as grasshoppers. They belittle themselves to grasshoppers. Not even a human being, a grasshopper. I've heard so many people who talk as if they belong to the community of grasshoppers. So many. You'd hear people saying, I'm nothing, I'm unworthy. God did not put trash together. God does not create cheap merchandise. You are so much worthy. You are highly, highly valuable. You are God's creation. When he created you, he put the seeds of success, the seeds of power, the seeds of faith in you. So act like it and live like it, that you have so much worth and you have so much value. Quit belittling yourself. Quit looking down upon yourself. You are no grasshopper. So quit living and talking like one. Quit exaggerating the problems in your life and making it look as if the devil has more power in your life than God. Start emphasizing the power of God in your life and start acting like it. I usually say if certain things happen to certain people, I'm a different case. They won't happen that way to me because I'm highly favored and highly blessed, and the grace and favor and mercies of God are upon my life. And that's the kind of mentality I want people to have out there. Just because you go somewhere or maybe you find yourself in a particular place, that things have been working out in a particular way that is not favorable for you. I want you to have the kind of mentality that you are a different case and things work out favorably for you. Things work in your favor. They will always work in your favor. That's the kind of mentality you need to have. The grasshopper kind of mindset will always stop your faith from flowing. It will give the devil power to have a stronghold over your mindset, over your life, over everything about you. If you have that kind of grasshopper mentality, you will not conquer things. Stop looking at what the past has been, how your past has turned out. God has a whole album of your future victories, of your tomorrow that looks way better than your past. God does not look at what has been happening or what has been the norm of things or what your past failures were. God has so many possibilities for you. All you have to do is ask. And should He give you that, you need to have faith that indeed He will deliver. God does not fail on His promises. Should He tell you something, best believe that He will do it for you. Measure on your opportunities, not on your obstacles. Measure on the victories that are coming your way, not on the problems that are around you. That's the giant killer mentality. The grasshopper mentality will always keep you down. I'm telling you this. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you need to make that decision of transforming your mind from having that grasshopper mentality into a giant killer mentality. God has given you the power of choice. So you need to make that mental choice that from today, I am going to elevate my thinking from a grasshopper kind of mentality into a giant killer mentality. And one thing I would tell you is that reinforce that kind of mentality by having the right kind of circle, the right kind of relationships and friendships around your life. You cannot choose to have a giant killer mentality, but the people who surround you have the worst kind of mentality, the grasshopper kind of mentality. They will drag you down. They will drag you down. Be very choosy and very selective with the kind of associations you keep around you. People who build your faith, people who build your confidence, not people who are constantly picking on the negative. Those people will inhibit your growth. Become very particular with the kind of people you allow in your life. Be very careful with what you listen to, what you hear, what you watch, what you read. Pick up materials that build your self-confidence, that build who you are, build your faith, that can show you that yes, there's a possibility of attaining this level of life. Don't be constantly listening on things that keep on saying, oh, it's hard, or it cannot be attained, or this is impossible. Don't. Get a hold of people who help you build your faith, build your confidence, and build your dependency on God. The minute you see yourself differently, you see yourself worthy of things, and you see that God can help you elevate your life, I'm telling you that you will live a life of victories upon victories. Shift your mindset. It all starts from here. The moment you shift your mindset from a grasshopper mentality into a giant killer mentality, best believe me, in every level of your life, things will change. Best believe me on that. I want to leave you with this quote that my mentor loves sharing it with us. And it's by Brandon Butcher that says, there comes a time in the lives of those destined for greatness when we must stand before the mirror of meaning and ask, why, having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we live as mice? Why, having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we live as mice? You will be wrong on every level if you have heard of this quote and you say that this is not for me or this does not cut it out for me. Because on every level that you reach, there's a higher level that you can get to. There's an evolutionary level that you can attain. You don't have to say, this is it for me. There's always a higher, better version that you can be of yourself. Why, having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we choose to live like mice? Why? Every day you wake up, you have a clean slate of becoming the best that you can be, of becoming a higher version, a greater version of who you can be. You just have to decide it. You just have to choose that today is the day that I'm going to just make everything to be the best that I can be of myself. Build it into your daily habits, a relentless focus of living your life as the greatest person you can ever be. In all situations, choose to demonstrate a strength of character that you are proud in who you are as a person, and people see a role model in you. I pray that this will be eye-opening, that you will shift your mindset from a grasshopper kind of mentality into a giant killer mentality, because you are so much more. Even if you have attained the greatest of all levels, there's still more that you can attain. There's always a higher level that you can attain, that you can evolve into. So that's it from me today. Please do share this with others. I really, really want us to become our best versions that we can ever be. Stop living a low life, because God did not create you to come and live a low life. And let me tell you, God is happy when he sees us living our best lives, and he's willing to help you every step of the way. But you have to put in the work. And it starts here. It starts up here. So that's it from me today. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next video.